Hi Justin, hope you're well. Just following on from our chat about your pitching and using S&T, finding that the club's digging into the ground a little bit too much. It's quite a common occurrence. It relates to the variables, and obviously this is a little bit potentially like telling a mother how to suck eggs, because you've been around a little bit and you know a lot of this stuff anyway. So hopefully this just gets you back on the right track and working on information that you'll be very, very familiar with anyway. With the ball, let's say with a more lofty club, you're hitting a 50-60 yard wedge shot. Most people will automatically grab for one of the sand nines or more lofty wedges, play the ball back, move the weight forward, and then again during the downswing progressively further forward whilst keeping the radius nice and tight, plenty of shaft lean at impact. The downside with that is that because it's a shorter club and because the ball's back in the stance and we're trying to hit it with negative loft, and we're trying to control the distance we hit it rather than hitting its full distance, the through impact extension move and the straining of the left leg tends not to occur at quite the same rate. So you do run the risk of the club continuously driving in the ground because the lead knee is small flexed, isn't straightening, so therefore the arc isn't widening and the club is not being brought out of the ground. When viewed from down the line, what you tend to see with that type of action also is that the club ascends quite quickly, and because of the tightening of the radius can stay out in front of the hands quite a lot. So again, whenever the club is out in front of the hands and the swing's shifted left, even though the path may be neutral, the angle of attack tends to be a little bit too steep. So one of the drills or one of the things that can get you out of that would be, and this would be my first port of call really, and I tell a lot of players to do this, simply because it's one of the things that I was brought up to do, and I've observed good wedge players throughout the years, and I find that they tend to do this as well. Rather than de-lofting the golf club, good wedge players tend to sort of create the loft they want and then maintain it through impact. Obviously there's a little bit of negative loft going on, but nothing severe. So what I try and get players to do is maybe pull a little bit less loft out of the bag to create the trajectory that they're seeing. So if we're on a standard 50-yard shot and we could maybe see a certain window that we want this ball to go through, we could pull 58 out and de-loft it, which would get more descent. We could pull 56 out and continue to have the ball relatively far back, etc., etc., and still drive the club into the ground because we're not pushing out the ground. What we can also do is pull out a 50-degree wedge, or in some instances I did this, I had great success with one of the players. We were using 9 irons to do this. And what that player's got to do now is use some variables, put the ball forward, soften the club face up, not lean the shaft forward, but have the shaft a little bit more vertical. Also, during the downswing, you'll tend to find that that player tightens the radius less and keeps the arc a little bit wider and more constant. So instead of de-lofting, adding flex to the lead knee, bringing the handle forward, without then being able to push up and expand the radius, what we're going to do now is we're going to be a lot more passive in transition, so there isn't as much flex going in this lead knee. The centre of the arc doesn't go as low and as far forward, so therefore it doesn't need to be managed on the way through. So this arc becomes a lot more constant and wider. Two good examples of that on the tours will be Stricker and Jason Day, and I think that's a really good way of playing wedge shots. Tom Kite also back in the day, very, very non-risky with his wedges, more of a constant arc. It's still stack and tilt, we've still got the weight forward, that's an integral part of the system. However, having the weight forward and then moving it progressively forward doesn't need to be done at the same rate when the ball's further back in the stance, because that's going to help us hit the ball before the ground, should I say, anyway. So I would start with using a little bit less loft coming out the bag, but creating the sort of trajectory that you would normally hit. So one of the things we just, if I was caddying for a player and said, right, what do you see here, 56, okay, well there you go, play with a 52. Still play the 56 trajectory, do it with a 52-degree wedge. And then from there, you're going to create a little bit more of a constant arc, and a little bit less of a narrowing arc that then needs that extension on the way through. When you view that from down the line, it tends to look a little bit more on plane as well, rather than picked up outside the hands, steep, and coming across the ball quite severely. So it tends to look a little bit more up and down the hand plane until you then start to bend the right arm, obviously, start to elevate onto that elbow plane a little bit more. So just a little bit easier to manage. So you'll have a different look and feel from face on. You'll also have a different look and feel from down the line. You'll certainly see a change in your divot pattern when you're doing that. So hopefully that helps. And if you've got any questions related to this, feel free to fire it across at any point. I'm playing golf, fortunately, the next 2 days. But I'll have my phone nearby. Just send us a text, send us a question anytime you like. Thanks a lot.